Welcome everybody back to the Rosh Chodesh project. I want to give a special Yasher Koyach to Yisrael for enabling this all to happen. Thank you. You should be zecher to be a shliach to do many, many more good things for Klal Yisrael. Be'ezer Hashem. So it's a special Rosh Chodesh, a special day, a special Rosh Chodesh Adar. We know the famous Gemara, Mishanichnas Adar marbim besimcha. Kshem shem mishanichnas of memayetin besimcha. Kach mishanichnas Adar marbim besimcha. Medina the Gemara. When Adar comes, it's a time of riboy, more simcha, to feel joy, to feel happiness. So perhaps with Hashem's help, if we could try to touch a little bit upon the nakuda, the special point of what Adar is in general, and to be able to feel in a certain way how that relates to us also with this extra special, unique simcha that we feel in Adar, that Klal Yisrael expresses throughout Adar. So perhaps, to begin, Rashi says that the pshat in Mishanichnas Adar marbim besimcha is based on the fact that it's Yomim, days of Geula for Yisrael. Yemei Adar v'Nisan, Adar and the forthcoming Nisan miyad acharei, right after, following, that are those 2 months are the days of Geula, Nisim, and Geula for Klal Yisrael. Days of salvation, where we saw miraculous salvation. So it's not only Adar, so to say, itself, that's the time of Mishanichnas Adar Mar B'Simcha, but it's Adar, which is really the beginning of a new time in the year, a new period in the year, a period of tremendous Geula, Yeshua, Nisim Yisrael, times of miraculous salvation. So perhaps to use this as a starting point, we all know there's a famous concept, a difference, a critical, essential difference between the Nisim of Pesach, of Nisan, and the Nisim of Adar, the Nisim of the Purim story. Nisan, the month of Yetzias Mitzrayim, was a time where HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed that the Derech HaTeva does not limit him, so to say. He created the Teva, and he's at every given moment still the Bailam on the Teva. And he can change it as he desires. Teva does not lock HaKadosh Baruch Hu in. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the ability to do with the world what he wants in any way. He's unlimited. The Nes of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the 10 Makos, Dam, Tzvadei, Akidim, Orev, and so on, were Nisim of Shinui within the Teva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the Teva and said, it's my toy, I'm playing with it. Like in the different possible, the different elements of Emunah, number one is recognizing, appreciating that Hashem created the world. And the second is that the world is still, at any moment, every aspect and every law of physics and biology and chemistry, it's all within Hashem's hands. And He could change it at any given moment. It's not like He set it in stone and now it just is on its own, independent, chas v'sholom kav yachol, from Him. So the Nisim of Yetzias Mitzrayim and following with Kriyas Yamsuf, where Hashem split open the Yam, were Nisim where Hashem showed that the Derech HaTeva is Nisim Gluyim, revealed Nisim. We understand. The Nisim of the Purim story were almost like 180 degrees, exactly the opposite. The Nisim of Purim were Nisim within Derech HaTeva. No one specific thing happened in the Purim story that was miraculous, like against every bit of Derech HaTeva the way we understand it. No. Achashverosh got drunk. Vashti didn't want to listen to him. He got insulted. In his drunk state, he had her killed. Haman was trying to get, wiggle his way into the upper, power of Persia. And Mamela, he wanted his daughter, and he recommended Vashti to be killed, and so on and so forth. And all the different pieces of the story. Balayla hu nadad shnas hamelech, until everything ends up playing out. That morning, Haman HaRasha comes, and instead of him getting the permission from Achashverosh like he wanted to hang Mordechai on the tree, he ends up himself. It's just what we call a miraculous coming together of many different coincidences, shall we say. But it was all within Derech HaTeva. Nothing happened that in its own was... And that's the message of the Nes of Purim. There's a famous Ramban at the end of Parshas Bo, which is a very, very famous Ramban, and also a huge life yesod maybe in certain ways, one of the most important Rambans, I don't know, Lo Shani Ben Adam Lagid et Zeh, Aval, a huge, very important Ramban. The Ramban points out, we see throughout the course of the Torah, a huge dagesh, a huge emphasis is placed on remembering the Nisim of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Pesach, and all the Nisim, Chometz, Korban Pesach, so many Nisim that revolve around Tefillin, Tzitzis, Shabbos, Zeichel Yetzias Mitzrayim. So many mitzvahs we have, constant, every single day, Yom V'Layla, twice a day we have to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's a powerful foundational element in our Yiddishkeit. And the Ramban over there goes on to explain that the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim gave over to us the yesodis of our emunah. We see, number one, that the world is not a kadmoni. The world doesn't just exist always. It's not just happens to be, but there was a creator that created it. We see that the one that created it is involved. He sees what's going on. It's really going through the course of the 13 animamins, the basic steps of the 13 animamins. We see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who created this world, is Yodea Kol Ma'asim and Yod Mechol Machshavoisam. The 10 Makkos, as the Medrash says and other Svarim explain, were all midah keneged midah. The Mitzrayim got punished back exactly tit for tat. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw Vayichad Yitzrayel Kol HaToiva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw what they did to us, and He paid them back midah keneged midah, exactly for what they did to us. So in the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hashkacha. He's watching over us. He sees what we do. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu's involvement. V'achre ken yetzer b'chush gadol. Kavyachol. Both the physical payment and the psychological feeling like uplifted by getting paid back for what you did for all the years for Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim gets punished. V'yayisos Mitzrayim meisal sfas hayam. Mitzrayim gets back al rosham, total destroyed, broken the Egyptian society, and we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu got involved. And obviously the lesson for us was to learn that. Had we understood that and came to recognize that on our own, we would not have needed the whole story of the Galus and the ensuing Geula to help us see this clearly. But Al Kopanim, in the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, was this Gilui of all the yesodis of our emunah. We see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. He's still running it, like we mentioned earlier. One of the te'usim of, Ovdei Avodah Zarah in a certain way, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created forces. Now those forces exist independently of His control, and things happen just kafi what those forces are. Chas v'shalom, Yisachar Pido Ivrei Sheker. But Al Kopanim, it revealed to us this truth, that Hashem sees what's going on and He's involved, and so on and so forth. The cycle of history since then has been a repeated expression of this. And then the Ramban says this very important idea. The Ramban says, Mitoich hanisim hagluyim amifusamim, from these extraordinary, revealed, open miracles, where we see Hashem's intervention in human history, and in taking the teva of the world and switching it to use it for His purposes, a person comes to realize, to be makir, and to recognize the nisim nistarim, the hidden miracles, the constant, ongoing presence of Hashem Yisbarach in our lives, not through changing derech hateva, within the derech hateva. We get to appreciate and see and feel and experience and recognize everything that's happening in our life, the little things. You made the bus. You missed the bus. The business deal went through. The business deal didn't go through. You had a good lunch in yeshiva today, or the lunch got burnt, or whatever it was, or you came late and there was nothing left for you because your Rebbe wanted to talk to you for 2 minutes. We can't begin to realize and see and recognize that everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's interaction with us. Hashem Yisbarach is responding to us. It's a relationship with Him. And when we learn to open our eyes and to see and to feel the presence of Hashem Yisbarach in our life, all our life, our whole day, begins to become part of our interaction with Him, and a relationship with Him. It's interesting, because when you ask this question as a question, people have different ways they look at it offhand, but when you think about it and talk about it, when a person lives more according to the will of Hashem, a person is kinder to others. A person is positive. He doesn't speak Lashon Hara. Not just doesn't speak Lashon Hara, but he doesn't have those thoughts and feelings. He works on himself to see the good in others, to be understanding of other people's shortcomings and failures and mistakes. when a person is more truthful and honest with himself and with the people around him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu interacts with us. Some people say, no, Mechtesi, but the whole Sefer Dvarim, V'hayim Shemaya Tishmol, we say it every day in davening. V'hayim Shemaya Tishmol mitzvayse, Asher Anochi mitzave eschem, la'avas Hashem lekechem, la'avdoi b'chol avavchem, v'nosati mitar artzchem, v'ito yoro malkoish, v'yasafta de gonecha, v'siroyishcha, v'tzarecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will shower us with blessing. V'hayo ekev tishmon el mitzvayse, Asher Anochi mitzave eschem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you're going to have bracha. Everything is going to be blessed. Everything. The more we go in the ways of Hashem, the more we emulate Hashem, the more we express Hashem's goodness, the goodness of our own panemius, of our own neshama, the more we bring bracha, blessing, and good to our life. Learning to see that, and the vice versa is also true. Obviously, there is some level where this is nistar in the Bria, because sometimes there is a tzaddik v'raloi and a rasha v'toivloi, which has many different facets and aspects. But al kapanim, in a general sense, each one of us individually needs to learn to see this in our life. The gooder I become, I know that's not proper English, the gooder I become, the gooder my life will be. The better, the more I make myself the good person that Hashem Yisbarach wants us to be and needs us to be, the more I bring bracha to my life, to the life of those around me, and so on and so forth. This, in a certain way, is part of the secret of Adar and Nisan. We know that in the 12 months of the year, we mentioned other times, the months in the Torah don't have names, they have numbers. And the first month of the year, the leader of the months, where the cycle of counting the 12 months begins, is in Nisan. HaChodesh hazeh lochem Rosh Chodesh. Nisan is this is the beginning. Every month is new, and Nisan is the new of all the new. Chodesh, his chachos. And that's why this year Baruch Hashem was Zoicha. It's a schos to have an Iber. The 13th month is the Ma'ached, much more powerful, intense. Ruchniistic koyach in the year Bechlal, Adar Beis Befrat, where it's the unity of all the 12 together, the number Echad, 1, which is 13. And Nisan is the Rosh Chodesh. Nisan is the beginning. Nisan has to come out in the springtime. That's the idea of the Iber, to keep the cycle of the 12 lunar months in sync with the 365 and a quarter days of the cycle of the solar year, where the earth makes a revolution around the sun that defines the seasons for us. And Nisan is the time of his chachos, springtime, when the trees are blooming, all the birds are building their nests, and the sheep are giving birth to their lambs, and the cows to their calves, and so on and so forth. It's a time of fresh love shukarim atzai. The mountains are cloaked in all the beauty. The wildflowers are bursting forth with color. The trees are beginning to put out their flowers, the blooms, to produce a new crop of fruit, and so on. So Nisan is the month of his chachos, the beginning of it all. We mentioned earlier that every single one of the 12 months of the year has a specific tziruf havaya, a combination of the 4 letters of Hashem Yisbarach's name that represent and give the spiritual power of that month. There's one out of the 12 months that has the 4 letters of Hashem Yisbarach's name, the Shem Havaya, exactly kitzurasan, kavyasan, Yud, K, Vav, K. That month is the month of Nisan. It's the king of all the months. The Sfarim HaKadosh bring down, there's a minig many people have. The first 12 days of the month of Nisan, they lane the karbanos of the Nesiim that brought Nesiim for the Chanukas, that brought karbanos for the Chanukas HaMishkan. And those first 12 days, really, the first 12 days of Nisan represent really all the 12 months of the year. The first day of Nisan represents Chodesh Nisan, the second day Iyar, the third day Sivan, and so on and so forth. And each one of the Shvatim that brought a carbon on that day corresponded also to that month of the year. Akopanim Nisan is the month we have the Yud Kei Vav Kei Kitsurasa in its perfect expression, because that's the most complete, open expression of Hashem Yisbarach as King of the world. The month of the year where Pesach took place, the month that corresponds to this Gilui, to this open revelation, to the Malchus of Hashem, was the month of Nisan, the month of Yetzias Mitzrayim, where Hashem changed the whole Derech HaTeva to show that He's still in control. It's the month that corresponds to the Malchus of Hashem, and therefore it's the month that corresponds to Shevet Yehuda, who is the Melech of the Shvatim, La Yasser Shevet Mi Yehuda. That's the month of the Malchus, the Gilui. Hashem is the boss, Hashem is the king. The year is a cycle. If Chodesh Nisan is the Chodesh Harishon, the first month of the 12, so as we go through the year and we draw to a conclusion of the cycle of 12 months of a year, 12 different expressions of interaction of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the world, 12 different ways of us tapping into and bringing out our own inner potential as Yidden, as people. What wraps it all up, the end of the cycle, is the month of Adar, the 12th month. We know Megillas Esther, Kiyodua, also doesn't just mean the scroll of the person, the woman named Esther. Megillas Esther represents the revelation of the Nistar, the revelation, legalot, to reveal. Megillas Esther, to reveal the hidden. And the power of the month of Adar is like the second half of that Ramban. A person has to come to be makir in the nisim hanistarim, to recognize that every moment of our life Hashem is interacting with us. He's guiding us. Kafi your hanhaga, kafi your actions, kafi your thoughts, kafi your bettering yourself. Hashem is giving you bracha, helping you grow more. Chas v'shalom, the opposite. As a loving father is trying to guide his children and give them the power to create goodness for themselves, so to say. So that is the Megillas Esther. At the end of the 12 months, we come back to, through having steigt and through having grown throughout the 12 months of a year, which began last year in Nisan, almost 12 months ago, where we began and we sat down to a Seder and we spoke about the Nisan that we saw in Mitzrayim, the Yesod, the foundation of our Emunah as Yidden. Now, it's, so to say, all coming to, like where it was meant to bring us to the ultimate point. And the Ramban speaks out those words, the famous words, that the whole tachlis that Hashem is the ein lo chayfetz b'tachtonim, Hashem's will for this world is that we should learn to feel connected to Him. We should see Him in our lives. Not when there's Nisim Gluyim, when Hashem is doing a Kriyas Yamsov. But Adarab, the ultimate goal of the Kriyas Yamsov is really to bring us to the point where we recognize and realize within all our regular, normal, daily events, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is interacting with us. He's guiding us. I want to share with you, there's really so many endless moments of insight, of recognizing, seeing Hashem's interaction with us. But I want to share with you one story that happened with me a bunch of years ago. But it was like sort of so clear, sometimes it's hard to think that this was called the Nisim Nistarim, because it was like almost so clear the relationship and the correlation between the two halves of the story. But I'll share with you because it's powerful and it's really sort of meant to open our eyes to the things that are much more subtle as well. Many years ago, I was going to travel from Har Nof to Beit Vegan to go to yeshiva, and I was getting a ride. It was a friend of mine that had a car, and he offered me a ride when he didn't always have his car every day going to yeshiva, but Zech Tzadik L'Vracha, Rav Yosef Warfel, a special yid. Once in a while he had a car, and he offered to pick me up. So I was getting a ride. We drove to Beit Vegan. He picked me up in Har Nof. Rav Moshe Lieber, Zazayin Gesund and Stark, was also in the car with us, sitting in the front next to Rav Yosef. And we were driving to Beit Vegan. I was sitting in the back seat. I was tired, and I fell fast asleep. B'kitzer, as the car was coming down the road, right around the corner from where I work in the afternoon, in Kiryat Noar in Beit Vegan, all of a sudden, there was a police roadblock. The road takes a sharp curve, and you can't see from further up the road like what's coming up ahead, and there was a police roadblock. B'kitzer, the police pull him over, and they were just spot-checking cars to make sure everything was in order. And they asked Mr. Warfel, Rav Yosef, for his license, registration for the car, check it, everything fine. And then the police officer comes to the back, she looks at me, and she says, where's your seatbelt? So I had just woken up when the car pulled over. I woke up and I was all groggy. I didn't know what's going on. And I said, I don't know, right here is my seatbelt. She's like, no, why are you wearing it? I was like, I don't know, I'm sitting in the back. And so no, the law is even if you sit in the back, you have to wear a seatbelt, you're getting a ticket. And Rav Moshe Lieber leaned over and said to her, hey, wait, what's going on? You didn't realize, you didn't know, have Rachmanis on him. You can just give him a warning next time. And she said, oh, well, not next time. Next time he's going to know not to do it because this time he's getting a ticket. And she gave us a ticket. She gave the ticket officially to the driver of the car, but obviously I told Rav Yosef that I'm going to pay the ticket. And fine, it's also like 5-10 minutes of time waiting in the car while she writes the ticket out. She came back, she gave us a ticket for 250 shekel. Not terrible, but a ticket. And we continued down the road. We were 500 feet away from yeshiva. We finished, driving down the road to yeshiva. We got out and I was walking in and I was thinking like, why did this have to happen? We're like right up the block from yeshiva, and why couldn't she be nice? Like, come on, I didn't, she could have had a little bit of rachmanis really. And I was like feeling bothered, like why Hashem, why'd you do this to me? Why? And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I don't believe it. How could it be? I didn't realize this. I'll tell you what I realized. 3 hours before, earlier that very same day, I was walking from one base medrash. I used to learn with a bacher in a high school, a teenage boy in a high school, from like 11 to 12. And at 12 o'clock, I went to a different yeshiva, and I learned with a chavrusa and a koilel. So at 12 o'clock, I was walking from this high school. I was crossing Katzenelbogen Street in Harnof, and I was on the way to this base medrash where I learned with my next chavrusa. And I was crossing the street. I saw a car driving up Katzenelbogen, and all of a sudden he swerved out of his lane. There was a broken chair sitting in the middle of his lane, in the middle of Katzenelbogen Street in Harnof. And I said, Oy, that's not safe. It's dangerous. So I figured, I made a tiny detour. I was anyway crossing the street. I went another 15, 20 feet over to where this broken chair was. I picked up the chair and I was going to take it off the road and throw it in the garbage. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that lying on the floor on the street, right next to this broken chair, was a big piece of cardboard. And on the cardboard, someone had written in big black magic marker letters, Machsom Mishtara Reva Kilometer, Zihirut. Caution, there's a police roadblock a quarter kilometer up the road. And all of a sudden I realized, that's why the chair was here. This piece of cardboard used to be up against the chair so that anyone driving up the road should be warned there's a police roadblock up ahead. Within that split second, I had to make a decision. Either I could put the chair back and take this piece of cardboard, stand it up next to the chair, so anybody driving up the street will know, caution, there's a police roadblock quarter kilometer up the road. Or I could just take the chair and throw the chair in the garbage and leave the cardboard on the floor. And I remember distinctly thinking, come on, what do you have to warn people? There's a roadblock a quarter kilometer up ahead. If someone's following the law and everything, he's wearing his seatbelt, so fine, no problem. And if he's not following the law and he gets a ticket, so he deserved it. So what do you have to warn people there's a roadblock? And I took the chair and I tossed it in the garbage. And I realized I decided my own fate. That was it. Could you be merachem on somebody? Somebody just ran out to go down the block to pick his kid up from school, to buy something from the grocery store. I don't know, whatever it was. And he's going to end up with a ticket. Come on. Have rachmanis. I didn't. And because I didn't, I got a ticket too. I was like you create your own world that you end up living in. You create it for yourself. So again, this story is fascinating. It's a little bit more blatant, bolet, because you notice it so strongly, so distinctly. But the message of the story is that really Hashem Yisbarach is interacting with us all the time through the natural events and sequence of things that take place in our life. And for us to be able to feel the drive, the mission, the goal, the more I live a godly life, the more I go in the ways that Hashem Yisbarach wants us to. And the Sefer HaChinuch, who wrote for his children, writes consistently again and again throughout the Sefer Nagdama and again throughout the Sefer and so many of the mitzvahs that Hashem wants to give us good. But the ultimate good is the good that we created through our actions. And Hashem gave us a world where we live with Bechira, where we choose. And the more we focus on the power of our own actions, that they bring bracha to our lives, they bring good to our lives and to the world around us, the more we have the motivation to live a meaningful life. Because not just one day in Olam Haba we believe. It's the energy of the flow of your life on a day-to-day basis. The more you work on improving yourself, you improve the relationships with the people around you. You improve your relationship with the world around you. And that brings bracha and good into your life. This, I believe, in a certain way, is the simcha of the month of Adar. The more we realize we're never alone. Hashem Yisbarach is always here with us. He's interacting with us. The more we learn to be Megala, the Hester, Ki Yadua, also, the Gemara asked the Masechtas Megillah, Esther min HaTorah minayin, Mordechai min HaTorah minayin, Haman min HaTorah minayin. But the Gemara says Esther min HaTorah minayin, because it says va'anoichi hastir panai b'yom hahu. Hashem Yisbarach says, I'm going to hide my face. And that was the story of Megillah Esther, where Hashem was hidden. But the bracha, the beauty of it is, he didn't disappear. He's not gone. He's there watching you. Meitzitz min hacharakim. It's just not revealed. And the joy, the simcha of learning to live in a way where we don't need open miracles. We don't need nisim gluyim. The more we integrate this reality into our life, to feel that Hashem is constantly with me. Hashem sees and He cares and He's interested and He's interacting with me. He's guiding me to help me grow. The more I feel I'm never alone. Hashem is always here with me. And that was the tremendous joy and simcha of the month of Adar. Is the tremendous joy and simcha of the month of Adar. Adar is related, the mitzvahs hayoim of Purim, Megillah, Mishnah, Matanos Lavyonim, Mishloach Monos. The Mishnah is such an interesting, like seemingly so not regular mitzvah that we have or is expressed in any other time of the year. But we know the idea of Nichnas Yayin Yotza Soid. The same way that the month of Adar has the power to reveal Hashem's interaction with us within the world of regular everyday experiences. Hashem is there with us. Purim also gives us the idea, the ability to tap into Nichlas Yayin Yotza Soid, to come in touch with the part within me that's hidden a whole year. My true yearning, my true desire that I want to live a life of Kedusha and Torah and goodness and Ehrlichkeit and kindness and forgiveness and happiness. On Purim, it's Nichnas Yayin Yotza Soid, it's Megala the Hester within every person. The concept of the masks, masechos, like a masach, it's something that's hiding. You don't see what's behind it, but it's there. And Purim is the time where we recognize the whole world is really just a mask, hiding HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence, and we learn to look behind it and to see Hashem. It's also the day, Purim, that we realize that so many of the things we do are external because we want to have a good reputation and we're afraid people are going to not think highly of us. Purim is the day where all that falls away. The Yotza Soid, for a person to have the ability to come in touch with his own Erlecha. Who am I? What am I meant to do? What was I created to contribute? To feel there's something special, unique about my neshama, about special opportunities for me that only I could contribute to, things that I see in my own unique way. That's the endless, emes, a truthful simcha of the Chag HaPurim. We should be zeicha through coming to be makir. And I think that's the word in Rashi, when Rashi says that it's Adar and Nisim Nisan, that are Yamim of Geula and Nisim for Klal Yisrael, Yeshua for Klal Yisrael. As it's going to begin next Nisan, shortly up ahead, we realize and we recognize that the amount that Hashem is going to be Megala to us is a result of the work that we put in to find Him hidden in the darkness. The Ar at the end of the tunnel is a product of how much you look to find Hashem within the tunnel. And the more we have a powerful Adar, an Adar of realizing Hashem, the whole world is yours, the more that leads to Nisim Gluyim in the following Nisan, where Hashem is Megala Himself to us openly, because we did the work of trying to see Him. I can't take away your Bechira, Kav Yachal. Hashem can't take away our Bechira. Can't reveal Himself to us in such a way if we're not even looking to see Him. But when we try to find Him, then Hashem is, that we're allowing Him, giving Him the space, so to say, Kav Yachal, to be able to reveal Himself to us openly. We should be zeicha that this month of Adar, and again, it's going to be 2 Adars this year, the power of finding Legales Hester, to reveal, to find Hashem within the hidden, to recognize Hashem's presence is with us every moment of every day, the endless miracles we live with. Together through that, we should be zeicha that this Nisan, we should be zeicha b'Nisan Nigalu, b'Nisan Asidin L'Goyel, we should see the Or Chodesh Al Tzio and Toyer, b'Bias Mashiach Tzidkeinu, b'Bini Beis HaMikdash, when the whole world, Kimola Oretz Deos Hashem, Kamayim Liyamachasim, when everyone will recognize clearly Hashem's rulership and Hashem's kindness and justice. Together we should all go to greet Mashiach. B'mheira b'yameinu amen v'amen.